You gave her your time, your loyalty, your energy. You did everything right, called often, showed love, planned dates, stayed faithful. And she still drifted away. Not because you weren't kind enough, not because you didn't try hard enough, but because you didn't understand the one truth no one tells you: attraction is not earned, it's felt. This video isn't here to judge you, it's here to wake you up. If you're tired of being the guy who gives everything but still feels invisible, it's time you learn what actually moves a woman. Not gifts, not effort, not words. What matters is how she feels when she's around you. That feeling doesn't come from doing more, it comes from becoming more. Support this channel if you want to keep receiving insight that reshapes your confidence from the inside out. Because every time you support us, we reach another man who's about to give everything away to a woman who doesn't feel a thing. Let's change that. Together. Number 1. Women want a man with inner tension, not external applause. Women don't fall for men who chase approval. They don't feel desire for men who always look for praise or public validation. The truth is, most women are far more drawn to men who carry a quiet intensity. Men who have inner tension. This is the invisible energy that pulls her in. It's not about being loud, flashy, or constantly liked. It's about the depth you carry that doesn't need to be shown. Let's define what inner tension really means. It's the quiet force of a man who holds emotional energy within himself. He doesn't give it away freely. He doesn't reveal his every thought. He doesn't try to be liked. Instead, he lets his thoughts simmer, his opinions sharpen, and his focus remain unshaken. That kind of restraint creates curiosity. And curiosity is the oxygen of attraction. On the other hand, external applause is about chasing visibility. It's about showing others that you're good enough, strong enough, or successful enough. Men who rely on this approach tend to overpost, overtalk, overshare. Their energy is externalized, scattered, and focused on gaining recognition. But here's the catch. When you need external applause, you send a clear signal. You are not enough without it. And women feel that. A man with inner tension is different. He walks into a room with a calm confidence that doesn't seek permission. He doesn't tell everyone about his wins. He doesn't try to prove his status. But his energy is undeniable. There's a weight to him, a depth, a silence that's more powerful than 1,000 words. That's what draws a woman in, not because he performed, but because he held something back. Think about the most magnetic characters in movies and real life. They rarely speak too much. They don't always smile. They hold eye contact with intensity, but they don't break into chatter. They feel like something's going on underneath. And that unknown pulls people closer. That's inner tension, and it's far more powerful than validation or approval from others. To cultivate this, start by stopping the applause chase. Don't share every victory. Don't try to impress every room. Let your achievements be for you, not for public display. Then, begin building emotional discipline. Feel your emotions, but don't always express them. Let them build inside like pressure in a tank. Not to explode, but to radiate presence. Another way to develop inner tension is to get comfortable with withholding. Not in a manipulative way, but in a conscious way. You don't need to say, "I like you," right away. You don't need to reveal everything on the first few dates. Let her experience the mystery of discovering you. Let her work for your inner world, because what is freely given is rarely valued. Also, embrace solitude. A man who can sit alone, think deeply, and stay focused without needing noise or attention naturally builds tension. That energy becomes felt by others, especially women. She sees a man who doesn't chase connection because he is connection. He doesn't need a crowd to validate his worth. He knows who he is in silence. Inner tension says, I have power, and I choose how and when to express it. External applause says, please tell me I'm enough. One creates attraction, the other creates dependency. Women don't want a man who's always performing for attention. They want a man who makes her wonder, who makes her feel like there's more beneath the surface. That wonder builds tension. That tension becomes desire. And the best part? When you hold that inner tension, you stop caring about applause altogether. You move through life on your own terms. You become magnetic without trying. Because the man who needs no validation becomes the one everyone wants to understand, but can't fully grasp. Number 2, she wants a leader, not a pleaser. A man who leads doesn't need approval. A man who pleases waits for it. This is the final layer that separates the men women chase from the men they tolerate. Women may keep a pleaser around for comfort, but they follow a leader with respect and desire. And that distinction changes everything. Let's start with the pleaser. He says yes to everything she wants. He avoids conflict. He adapts his preferences to match hers. He hides his true opinions to avoid rocking the boat. On the surface, he seems like a dream. Attentive, kind, easy to be around. But underneath, there's a problem. He has no direction, no spine, no fire, and she feels it. Over time, the woman begins to take the lead emotionally. She sets the pace. She decides how deep the connection goes. She tests boundaries to see where the edges are. But with the pleaser, there are none. Everything is soft, everything bends. And while she may enjoy the control at first, it slowly kills attraction. Because leadership isn't just about making decisions, it's about emotional stability. It's about being a man she can lean on, not lean into and take over. Now let's contrast that with the man who leads. He doesn't need to dominate or control. His leadership is quiet but firm. He knows who he is. He knows where he's going. He invites her into his world, but never hands over the keys to his emotional state. He's not rude. He's not harsh. But he stands on solid ground, and she feels it. That foundation becomes attractive because it provides structure, challenge, and safety all at once. When a woman feels that you can hold your own, not just in decisions, but in emotions, she begins to trust your direction. She may test it. She may push against it. But she ultimately respects it. Because most women are not looking for a man who says, "What do you want me to be?" They're looking for a man who says, "This is who I am. You're welcome to join me, but I'm not changing my mission for anyone." Leadership in attraction is not about control. It's about clarity. A pleaser asks for her permission. A leader moves with purpose and lets her choose to align or not. And this alignment is key. Because when a woman aligns with your energy out of choice, not manipulation or fear, she invests emotionally. She feels safe to open, to express, to trust. To lead, you must first lead yourself. Do you wake up with direction? Do you have values you actually live by? Do you say no when something doesn't feel right, even if it costs you a moment of connection? Because every time you betray yourself to please her, you lose a little of your masculine energy. And that energy is the foundation of attraction. Also, a leader makes hard choices. He doesn't ghost when it gets uncomfortable. He doesn't wait for her to make every emotional move. He leads with maturity. He initiates clarity. He walks away when respect isn't mutual. and he does it all without explaining himself endlessly. That kind of strength doesn't require validation. It speaks for itself. If she can steer your emotions, you're not leading. If you're walking on eggshells around her reactions, you're not in your power. Leadership requires emotional grounding. It means you stay calm when she's chaotic. You remain focused when she's testing. You don't react. You respond. That difference is subtle, but it's the edge she's looking for. At the end of the day, women are not drawn to men who give them everything they want. They're drawn to men who know who they are, who stay rooted, who offer guidance, not just affection. Because love is not about bending, it's about building something stable. And that only happens when the man leads with his own truth, not with her approval. So stop trying to be the perfect man in her eyes. Start becoming the clearest version of yourself, because the man who knows where he's going doesn't need applause. He just walks, and she follows. Number 3, attraction is felt, not earned. This is the most misunderstood principle in modern relationships. The idea that if you just do everything right, be kind, respectful, supportive, available, then the woman you want will naturally desire you. It sounds logical, it sounds fair, but it's a trap. And the more you believe that love is earned by effort, the more invisible you become. Attraction doesn't respond to how hard you work. It responds to how she feels in your presence. A woman is not a machine where you input time and affection and get love in return. She is a deeply emotional being who tunes into how grounded, confident, and centered you are, not how many favors you do or how quickly you reply to her messages. This is why so many good guys get left behind. They operate from the idea that love is transactional. They think, if I'm there when she needs me, if I buy her gifts, if I show her I care, she'll see I'm the right one. But she doesn't. She thanks you, then walks into the arms of a man who barely tries. And you're left confused, thinking, what did I do wrong? The truth is, you were trying to earn what can only be felt. You were trying to work your way into her heart with logic, when her attraction runs on emotion. You gave your best, but it didn't make her feel anything different. You were safe, predictable, generous, but she didn't feel pulled toward you. Now, does this mean you should be selfish, distant, or disrespectful? Absolutely not. It means you must understand that attraction is pre-verbal. It exists below the surface of behavior. It's not about being good. It's about being magnetic. And that magnetism doesn't come from saying the right words. It comes from who you are when you're not saying anything at all. Ask yourself this. When you're with a woman you like, do you try to impress her? Do you walk on eggshells, making sure not to offend? Do you stay silent about your opinions just to keep the peace? Do you constantly ask what she needs before you even know what you want? If so, your energy is screaming one thing: please pick me. And here's what happens when you emit that please pick me energy. She starts to feel like she's leading emotionally. She becomes the one with the upper hand. You're no longer her equal. You're her emotional assistant. And desire doesn't live in that space. Respect, maybe. Gratitude, sure. But not desire. The shift begins when you stop trying to earn her interest and start living in a way that naturally creates emotional movement. You walk into the room with calm, not anxiety. You listen more than you talk. You let silence be comfortable. You look at her without trying to win her. And in that stillness, she begins to feel something she doesn't feel from other men. Tension. Tension is not conflict. It's emotional electricity. It's the quiet awareness that something could happen between you, but neither of you is forcing it. That charge comes from being centered, being grounded, being self-assured. A man who needs nothing, but offers everything through presence. Women don't want more effort. They want more depth. And the reason they fall for men who do less is because those men feel more. They don't chase, they draw in. They don't convince, they affect. And they do that by living in alignment with their own value, not by asking her to validate it. To live this truth, you must release the idea that love is a reward. Stop performing. Stop waiting for approval. Every time you act from need, you dilute your energy. But when you act from alignment, you become unforgettable. She doesn't care how many nice things you did last week. She cares about how it feels to be around you. Number 4, presence without impact is just background noise. A man can be present in a woman's life every single day, texting, checking in, offering help, and still be completely invisible to her emotions. Presence alone is not enough. What matters is the type of presence. Because if your presence doesn't stir emotion, create tension, or shift her internal world in some way, you become just another part of the background, familiar, available, and easy to ignore. Most men think that consistency is what wins a woman over, so they show up. They always reply. They check in constantly. They never miss an opportunity to be there. But here's the hard truth. If your presence doesn't move her, it doesn't matter how often you show up. A man who is consistently forgettable isn't attractive. He's replaceable. Let's break this down. Think of background noise. It's always there. It never disrupts, never surprises, never demands attention. After a while, you don't even hear it anymore. Now, think of someone who walks into a room and shifts the energy. Not because they say something loud, not because they do anything dramatic, but because their presence has weight. You feel it before they speak. That's impact. And that's what women remember. Impact doesn't come from how many texts you send or how quickly you respond. It comes from how you carry yourself. It comes from your ability to be fully rooted in your energy. A man who radiates calm, control, and quiet confidence can be more unforgettable in 5 minutes than a nice guy can be in 5 months. So how do you go from background noise to emotional presence? Start by removing the need to be noticed. Ironically, the more you try to be seen, the less power you have. When your actions scream, "Look at me," you communicate lack. But when you are content being in your own space, detached from outcome, your presence becomes magnetic. Women feel the difference. Also become comfortable with silence. Silence is where most men crumble. They rush to fill it. They panic. They overtalk. But silence, when held with confidence, creates a powerful form of tension. It shows you're not afraid of space. You're not insecure about her opinion. You can just be. And that is rare. That is valuable. Another key to building impactful presence is stillness. Most men fidget. They overmove. They can't sit still without checking their phone or looking around nervously. A man who is physically still, who doesn't need constant movement to feel okay, creates a sense of control. That control is felt by everyone in the room, especially by women. And finally, speak less, but speak with clarity. When your words are few but thoughtful, they carry more weight. You don't need to dominate the conversation. You need to show that when you do speak, it's worth listening to. That subtle leadership is attractive. That energy says, "I'm not trying to impress. I'm expressing what matters." Presence is not about visibility. It's about emotional gravity. You don't need to be loud to have presence. You need to be centered, grounded, focused. You need to own your energy so fully that others can feel it, without needing you to explain it. If you're always present but never felt, you become background noise. But if you slow down, breathe deeply, move with intention, and detach from the need to be chosen, your presence will start to carry the kind of impact that cannot be ignored. Presence isn't about proximity, it's about power. And if you don't bring emotional power with you, you might as well not be there at all. Number 5, emotional impact must be felt, not explained. One of the greatest mistakes men make with women is trying to explain their way into attraction. They think that if they just say the right words, express their intentions clearly, or talk enough about how much they care, she'll suddenly understand and feel the same. But attraction isn't a product of explanation. It's a response to emotional impact. And emotional impact doesn't come from language, it comes from experience. A woman doesn't fall for a man because he tells her how much he likes her. She falls because something about him moves her emotionally. He creates an inner shift in her. She feels something she can't explain, and that confusion becomes curiosity. That curiosity becomes tension. That tension becomes interest. And interest, when sustained, becomes desire. But when you talk too much, explain too much, justify too much, you drain the mystery. You smother the emotion. You try to rationalize what's meant to be felt. And the more you do that, the more she tunes out. Not because you're wrong, not because your words are bad, but because there's no charge behind them. No energy, no emotional spike. You're being understood, but not felt. Let's take a simple example. A man tells a woman, "I think we'd be great together. I'd treat you right. I'm not like the others. I'd always be honest with you." Logically, everything he says is valid, but emotionally, it falls flat. Why? Because it sounds like a sales pitch. There's no risk, no tension, no edge, just words, trying to earn trust instead of creating impact. Now imagine another man. He doesn't say much. He just looks at her with calm certainty. He's present. His energy is grounded. He doesn't rush. He doesn't overshare. And when he speaks, he does so with few words. But those words carry weight. She can feel he's not trying to win her. He's simply being real. That feeling sticks. She may not know why she thinks about him later, but she does. Because he left a mark. That's emotional impact. It's not about trying harder. It's about showing up in a way that moves her without needing to convince her. You can't talk a woman into desire. You have to make her feel it. And that comes from your presence, not your pitch. So how do you create emotional impact? First, slow down. Most men talk too fast, explain too much, and move with the energy of needing approval. That energy kills attraction. It shows that you're chasing connection instead of owning your space. Instead, speak from a place of internal certainty. Use fewer words, but speak them with intention. Look her in the eye, not to prove something, but to connect without words. Second, share less, but mean more. Don't reveal your whole story up front. Let her wonder about you. Let her fill in the gaps. Let your mystery create emotional tension. When she asks questions, don't always give straight answers. Be open, but be selective. Show that you value your story and only offer it to those who've earned it. Third, use your energy, not just your words. Your tone, your pacing, your posture, all of these communicate more than what you're saying. If your words say, "I'm confident," but your body says, "I need her to like me," she'll believe your body. Energy doesn't lie, The man who creates emotional impact knows that his value is felt, not told. He doesn't have to explain how good he is. He embodies it. And that embodiment is what makes women feel safe, intrigued, and pulled in, without understanding why. Attraction is not logic, it's emotion. And emotional impact is not created by talking harder. It's created by being a man who radiates calm, depth, and direction. Don't explain your worth. Make her feel it. You could give her all your time, affection, effort, and she still won't feel what you're hoping for. Not because she's ungrateful, but because what women want isn't what you do. It's who you are when you stop trying to earn them. She doesn't remember how many times you texted or how many favors you offered. She remembers how you made her feel, without trying. Attraction isn't built on performance. It's built on presence, emotional depth, mystery, grounded energy, and leadership. If you don't carry these things, your efforts will be seen but never truly felt. But when you hold them with quiet strength, you become unforgettable, without lifting a finger. If this video opened your eyes, even a little, comment "unstoppable" below. I want to know who's listening all the way through, who's done with chasing, and who's ready to lead. Support the channel if you believe in this message. Every like, comment, and share helps us reach more men who are giving too much and getting too little in return. You help make this transformation accessible to the guys who need it most. And remember, don't change to win her. Change to become the man who doesn't need to chase.